Now another question we have is, अब हम लोग इंडियन पॉलिटी पे आ जाएंगे सिलेबस में। 5 के बाद इंडियन पॉलिटी आता है, 3 तक ही 4 तक ही आपका जो पेपर में है वो सिलेबस आपका वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट ये सब आइडियोलॉजी ये सब से रिलेटेड होता है। सो 5 है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मॉडलिटी इन इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मॉडलिटी इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है? मॉडलिटी, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का मॉडलिटी क्या है हमारे संविधान में? तो इस चीज को constitutional morality in the Indian Constitution. So, constitutional morality is a set of principles and values underlying a constitution that guide the action of government and citizen. Groot described it as a supreme obedience. क्या है? एक तरह का supreme obedience है, तो हम लोग रेफर कर सकते हैं किसे? Supreme obedience, or the constitution of land, and also connected with the principle of self-restraint and plurality. Self-restraint and plurality. The constitutional morality is not natural sentiment of the Indian Constitution, but it has to be cultivated through Article अब क्या है आपका 13 से 22 से लेकर 12 से लेकर 35 दैट इज फंडामेंटल राइट एंड 36 से लेकर 51 तक आपका है डीपीएसपी दैट इज प्रीएम्बल फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज व्हिच आल्सो हेल्प्स द कोर्ट इंटरप्रेट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल टेक्स्ट। क्योंकि कोर्ट भी अपने में कंफ्यूज रहता है क्या देना है, फिर वो लोग रेफर करते हैं फिर क्या लिखा है फिर से जजमेंट देते हैं। सो देयर आर सम एलिमेंट ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी लाइक रूल ऑफ लॉ, इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी, राइट टू इक्वालिटी, फ्रीडम ऑफ चॉइस, एक्सप्रेशन, प्रीएम्बल, सोशल जस्टिस, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ एटसेट्रा। तो इस चीज को समझिए, the set of principles and values underlying constitution that guide the action of government. It is the guiding the action of the government and citizen. ग्रोथ डिस्क्राइब इट सुप्रीम ओबीडियंस और द मतलब ओबीडियंस किसका? सुप्रीम ओबीडियंस यानी कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन यानी गवर्नमेंट को इस चीज को ओबे करना है। इट्स अ सुप्रीम ओबीडियंस यानी कि सुप्रीम लॉ है जिसको आपको मानना पड़ेगा। सो द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी इज नॉट नेचुरल सेंटिमेंट ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बट इट हैज टू बी कल्टिवेटेड। ये नेचुरली नहीं है, ये बनाया गया है कि ये हम लोग को करना है। जैसे कैसे कि आपका आर्टिकल 44 हो गया या विलेज पंचायत हो गया, तो ये क्या है एक तरह का बोला जा रहा है कि नेचुरली कहीं पे लिखा हुआ नहीं है, ये आपको कल्टीवेट करना है। ठीक है, थ्रू डीपीएसपी when the state have the fund enough resources to provide those to masses। ठीक है, तो इस तरह से आपको करना होगा। तो उसको इंटरप्रेट कर रहा है कौन? कर रहा है कोर्ट कर रहा है, जुडिशरी कर रहा है। So there are some elements of constitutional morality like rule of law, individual liberty, right to equality, freedom of choice, expression, principle, preamble। ठीक है, तो अब salient features पे आते हैं। तो यहाँ पे क्या है कि कुछ नहीं लिखा है, बस दे दिया है constitutional morality in the Indian constitution क्या है, तो हम लोग उसके features को बताएंगे। क्या है constitutional morality? means constitutional supremacy, यानी कि क्या है? supreme obedience, equality, commitment to liberty। it assures that all inequality is eliminated by it from social milieu, and also state that constitutional morality should be above social morality, which is clearly evident in the सबरीमाला केस। अब यहाँ केसेस को एग्जांपल कोट किया गया है। सबरीमाला, सबरीमाला केस क्या था? गर्ल्स वुमेन दोज हु आर इन वर नॉट अलाउड टू एंटर द टेंपल कॉम्प्लेक्स, ऐसे ही कुछ था। तो here Supreme Court bypassed the doctrine of essentiality to uphold constitutional morality. Thus, it empowers judiciary to take a step ahead for purposive purposive interpretation. It always mandates the aim of the constitutional values. It serves as the part of basic structure। तो ये बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, तो ये समझ लीजिए जो हम लोग का डे टू डे न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हैं, क्या चल रहा है संविधान में, क्या चल रहा है, और थोड़ा मोड़ा पॉलिटी का अगर नॉलेज है तो हम लोग उसको डिफाइन कर सकते हैं एज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी इन इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। देयर आर सम कंसर्न रिगार्डिंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी लाइक नो एक्सप्लिसिट मेंशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी। ठीक है, तो ऐसा कुछ मेंशन नहीं किया गया है इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। मोरालिटी इज ओपन एंडेड एंड सब्जेक्ट टू डिफरेंट इंटरप्रिटेशन बाय जजेस। देखिए ये बार-बार ये लोग रिविजिट करते हैं, खुद को कोर्ट ऑफ रिकॉर्ड बताते हैं फिर चेंज करते हैं, ऐसा बहुत केसेस है। इट प्रमोट्स जुडिशियल ओवररीच। ठीक है, देखिए अब यहाँ से क्या है, जुडिशियल ओवररीच का बात है प्रॉब्लम, विच ऑल्सो डिस्क्राइब द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर। ठीक है, तो डिस्क्राइब नहीं मतलब कि विच लेड टू इमरजेंस ऑफ सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर, द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ। ठीक है, इसको कंडेम किया एंड माइट हिंडर द ऑर्गेनिक एंड नेचुरल डेवलपमेंट ऑफ लिबरलिज्म, might hinder the natural development of liberalism. So here, real constitutional morality can only be upheld when the judiciary, government and individual all act in tandem। मतलब एक साथ एक तरंग में काम करते हैं, तब जाके आपका morality protect हो रहा है। किसका morality? constitutional morality protect हो रहा है। So as B.R. Ambedkar suggested, constitutional morality implied the harmonious interaction between the governing and the government। क्या है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोनिटी, क्या है इम्प्लाइड हार्मोनियस इंटरेक्शन बिटवीन द गवर्निंग एंड गवर्नमेंट। नाउ दूसरा जो क्वेश्चन हमारे पास है, ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली। ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली। सो द ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन, सबसे पहले हम लोग याद करते हैं, नेहरू रिलीज करते हैं बिफोर द मेकिंग ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, एक रेजोल्यूशन भेजते हैं, पेपर में छपवाते हैं, और he dictate to the audience of India through the paper. So objective resolution was a set of guiding principle that held helped in draft the Constitution of India, which eventually took shape of the preamble of the Indian Constitution. It was introduced by Jawaharlal Nehru on 13th of December 1946 on January 2020. 22 जनवरी 2009 1947 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन असेंबली एक्सेप्टेड दिस रेजोल्यूशन। तो एक्सेप्ट कब होता है? 22 जनवरी 1947। तो दिस इज टू मच ऑफ द डेटा। लेकिन यहाँ पे बात हो रहा है ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन क्या है। सो ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन इंश्राइन द एस्पिरेशन एंड वैल्यूज ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। क्या है? सबसे पहले एस्पिरेशन, क्या करना चाहते हैं, वैल्यूज क्या है। So it contained a basic ideology and philosophy upon which our constitution should be drafted. So it consists of principles like India should be democratic, sovereign republic. All citizens would be guaranteed equality of status and opportunity. Freedom of thought and expression. Adequate safeguards were provided for minorities, backwards and depressed people. India shall work for world peace, and all power and authority of the government would come from the people. Hence, it acted as a guiding principle for constitutional values and preamble to unlock the mind of constitution framers. तो यहाँ पे कुछ था नहीं डिस्कस ये सब, बस सिंपल बेसिक फैक्ट्स अबाउट ऑब्जेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन, व्हाट इट मींस व्हेन इट वाज passed and when it came into force, and what were the ideas and aspiration and values of those objective resolution, and that was a demand of question. Now, legal remedies in part 3 of Constitution of India. तो पार्ट 3 क्या है आपका? फंडामेंटल राइट। ठीक है, और इसमें क्या आता है आपका? लीगल रेमेडीज क्या है? लीगल रेमेडीज आपको मिलता है किसके थ्रू? आर्टिकल 32 हार्ट एंड सोल ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, दैट इज हेबियस कॉर्पस मैंडामास, ये सब जो आपका होता है रिट होता है। तो देखते हैं लीगल रेमेडीज अंडर पार्ट 3 ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्ले अ वाइटल रोल इन सेफगार्डिंग द फंडामेंटल राइट्स। आर्टिकल 32 फेमसली कॉल्ड द हार्ट एंड सोल ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बाय डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर गारंटीज इंडिविजुअल, देखिए कॉमा, डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर लिखा है तो कॉमा लगाया गया, guarantees individuals the right to directly approach the Supreme Court for enforcement of their fundamental right. It empowers the court to issue writs, क्या होता है आपका writs like habeas corpus mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto and certiorari, ensuring a swift mechanism for rights protection. Similarly, Article जो 226 है, that is 32 for Supreme Court and 226 for High Court, and High Court has a wider perspective, broader writ jurisdiction that in comparison to Supreme Court. So High Court to issue writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights and other legal rights, offering another layer of protection at same state level. So these provisions embody the principle of judicial review, wherein courts can invalidate any law that violates fundamental act. ठीक है. So these legal remedies reinforce the democratic framework, ensuring that citizens have access to a powerful judicial system for protection against state excesses. यानी excesses क्या? State excesses यानी कि ज्यादा बढ़ के काम कर रहा है स्टेट, ठीक है, तो उससे आपको बचाना है, ठीक है. So their effectiveness is visible in landmark cases like मेनका गांधी, क्या आपका मेनका गांधी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया 1978 का केस है, which expanded the scope of personal liberty. Moreover, the dynamic nature of judicial interpretation continues to adapt to new societal challenges, safeguarding the essence of democracy and individual rights in India. तो ये हमारा हो गया लीगल रेमेडीज दैट इज अवेलेबल, इसका कुछ एग्जांपल हमने लिखा। अब आते हैं दूसरा क्वेश्चन है, रेलेवेंस ऑफ द लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, क्या बच गया है काउंसिल? लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल क्या होता है? जब आपके स्टेट में देयर आर ओनली 6 स्टेट आई थिंक रिमेनिंग वेयर हैव लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, जैसे कि आपका अभी स्टिल एक्टिव इन बिहार, आई थिंक वेस्ट बंगाल, नो वेस्ट बंगाल में उड़ीसा, यूपी, तेलंगाना, आंध्र प्रदेश। देखते हैं, लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल और विधान परिषद इज द अपर हाउस इन द बाइकैमरल लेजिस्लेचर ऑफ इंडियन स्टेट, ये स्टेट में होता है। Functioning similarly to the Rajya Sabha at national level, its relevance has been subject to debate since its role is primarily advisory. Role क्या है यहाँ पे? Rajya Sabha का has a greater and more important role than comparing to legislative council. Council का उतना कुछ काम का है नहीं, and it does not hold as much legislative power as the Legislative Assembly Vidhan Sabha does. So proponents argue that Legislative Council serve a check on hasty legislation by allowing for deeper scrutiny and review, but मोर देन 90 अगर मान ली 27 28 स्टेट हमारा, तो अगर 7 ही स्टेट में अगर ये वर्किंग है, तो आई डोंट थिंक इट्स way more relevant in current days. Council has checks and hasty legislation by allowing for deeper scrutiny review. Its member drawn from various sectors like education, local कोई काम का नहीं है, local bodies and professionals कोई काम का नहीं है, bring diverse perspective and expertise, ensuring a broader representation of the interest. Various sectors like education, local bodies, various interest. और यहाँ तो जो एमएलए इलेक्शन लगते हैं वहाँ भी तो उस तरह के लोग आते ही हैं, तो ऐसा कुछ इसका काम है नहीं, ऐसा आप देख सकते हैं. दिस contributes to more informed and balanced law making. The council can also act as a forum for intellectual debate. It's just more exchequer and increasing exchequer on the state government and individual intellectual debate. We are experienced and eminent individual contribute to policy discussion without the electoral pressure faced by assembly members. However, critics view the legislative council as redundant, just like maybe critic, and costly. Yes, it lacks veto power and can only delay, not block. ठीक है, सिर्फ डिले कर रहा है and not block bills passed by the assembly, raising question about its effectiveness. सिस्टम तो ऐसा है, हर जगह पैसा लेके बिल पास कर रहे हैं, तो काम करिए. स्टेट लाइक पंजाब एंड वेस्ट बंगाल हैव abolished their council. ठीक है, तो ये मैं आ रहा था, पंजाब एंड वेस्ट बंगाल हैव abolished their council, citing them as superfluous. superfluous मतलब बिना काम का ही हवाबाजी में चल रहा है. So, how moreover, there are concerned that council are often used to reward political loyalists, diluting their effectiveness in independent bodies. So, moreover, they are concerned that council are often used to reward political loyalist. ठीक है, backdoor entry में इसे कहा गया है. While the legislative council can provide valuable oversight and expertise, its limited power and potential for political misuse raise question about its contemporary relevance. ठीक है, so they are losing their relevance. Reforms could make it more purposeful, or it may face continued demands for evolution. Article I think 169 is related to evolution of the council. तो ये रहा relevance of legislative council, क्योंकि ये सब अपना खुद से एबॉलिश कर चुके हैं, और देख रहे हैं ना, काउंसिल आर दे आर बीइंग क्रिटिसाइज्ड, क्रिटिक्स व्यू दिस एज रिडंडेंट एंड कॉस्टली. बिल्कुल बिना काम का ये काम, ये दे देने वाला काम चीज है. नाउ वुमेन्स रोल इन द एंटी एरेक मूवमेंट. Another question we have is women's role in anti ereck movement. The anti ereck movement was a mass upheaval of women. Mass upheaval of women for what? Ban on liquor. This was initiated against the production and making of the country liquor, that is Arak. This anti-Arak movement started in the Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh in 1992, quickly spread to other parts of the state. The poor rural women of the district started a movement as a fight against liquor, but it soon twinned into a full-fledged women's movement. They started due to the increase in the price of arak matlab liquor, along with the ever increasing consumption by poor men, causing drain on the household economies. Women had to bear the subsistence burden and face the abuse and beating of the drunken mill. तो वुमेन रोल पे आते हैं. ड्यू टू सफरिंग वुमेन स्टार्टेड ऑर्गेनाइजिंग देमसेल्फ. ठीक है, एक साथ समूह संगठन को लेकर आए. इन सेवरल विलेजेस वुमेन्स communities were formed and agitation against the sale of arak began. They started pressurizing the Arak shop owners to close their shop. A round of the close whistle was maintained by the women squad to ensure that no Arak entered the village. Gradually, opposition party, women groups, NGO and civil liberties organizations joined the agitation by November 1992. So देखिए, कहीं भी डिस्कस कुछ भी निकला तो you have to write just a short note or a history kind of thing. Agitation had spread to a large number of districts in Andhra Pradesh. Historically, it has been seen that the women's movement is generally not started by women rather by men like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwarchand Vidyasagar. So yeah, with the specific issues, but as an agitation gained momentum, it became the strategic gender issue and addressed the position of women in society. Another question पे आते हैं. How far do you agree? देखिए यहाँ पे you क्या कर दिया ये. How far do you agree that directive principle of state policy are more fundamental than the fundamental rights in the meeting of socio-economic justice as mentioned in the preamble of the constitution? Or how far do you agree? We agree too much. ठीक है, बहुत लंबा तक करेंगे. So debate over whether the directive principle of state policy are more fundamental than this socio-economic is rooted in their distinct role. ये दोनों का काम ही अलग है. Within the Indian constitution both are critical but they serve different purposes in the pursuit of justice as envisioned in the preamble. So, fundamental right enshrined as a part 3 of the Constitution provide individuals with civil liberties and protect against state encroachment on personal freedom. They are justiciable, meaning that citizen can approach court to enforce these rights. However, while essential for protecting individual freedom, fundamental rights primarily safeguard political and civil rights rather than explicitly addressing socioeconomic disparities. They ensure liberty but don't actively promote economic or social equality. On the other hand, DPSP laid out in Part 4 are guidelines for the state to create policies that promote social and economic welfare. Though non-justiciable, they serve as a framework for realizing socio-economic justice, aiming to reduce inequalities and promote public health, education and welfare. Provisions such as Article 38 promoting social, economic and political justice, Article 39 ensuring equal pay for equal work, and adequate livelihood for all citizens directly address the socio-economic dimension of the social justice. Historically, the judiciary has grappled with the interplay between DPSP and fundamental rights. In the case of Nanda Bharti case 1973, Supreme Court emphasized the importance of balancing both. While fundamental rights were considered superior, initially amendment like Act 31C added by 25th Amendment demonstrated a shift towards prioritizing DPSP in certain contexts, especially in matters concerning land reform and poverty alleviation. So, moreover, landmark rulings such as in the Minerva Mill case 1980 reiterated that fundamental right and DPSP must be harmonized, emphasizing that DPSP provide a social and economic bedrock for realizing the ideas enshrined in the preamble. While fundamental rights safeguard individual freedom, DPSP are more directly aligned with achieving socio-economic justice. They offer a vision for an equitable society, and through policy making, they have the potential to address socio-economic inequalities that remain entrenched in Indian society. So therefore, in the context of socio-economic justice, DPSP play a more fundamental role in guiding the state towards fulfilling its constitutional mandate. Okay? Now explain the structure and function of the National Commission for Women. So ये चैप्टर डायरेक्टली उठा के पूछ दिया ये सब तो यहाँ हम लोग देखेंगे नेशनल कमीशन फॉर वुमेन वाज established in 1992 January under National Commission for Women Act 1990 as a statutory body dedicated to protecting and promoting the rights of women in India. The NCW acts as a watchdog over matters related to the women's right and works towards ensuring their constitutional and legal entitlements. Now, structure जो है NCW का is composed of chairperson appointed by the central government, the chairperson responsible for leading the commission initiative. 5 members, these members are also appointed by central government and are chosen from pool of individuals committed to women's issue, prefer, preferably having legal or social work background. Now, member secretary पे आते हैं appointed by the central government, usually civil servant who oversee the day-to-day administration of the commission. Now, function पे आते हैं. The NCW performs a wide range of functions aimed at advocating for women's rights, providing redressal for grievances, review of law. The NCW reviews and suggests amendment to laws that are discriminatory towards women. It has played a crucial role in the enactment of laws such as Domestic Violence Act 2005 and Sexual Harassment Act Workplace 2013. Now, redressal of grievances. Women who face discrimination or violence can approach the NCW for assistance. The Commission has the authority to investigate complaints and recommend action. Now, research and advocacy पे आते हैं. The NCW conducts studies and seminars to highlight a critical issue affecting women such as violence, education, and employment. It raises awareness through campaigns and advocacy programs. Intervention in policy formulation. The NCW advises the government on policy matters related to women's welfare and empowerment. Despite its wide mandate, the NCW has been criticized for lack of enforcement powers and reliance on state machinery for action. Strengthening its authority and expanding its resources are often cited as necessary steps to enhance its effectiveness. Hence, NCW plays a pivotal role in advancing gender equality through its capacity to enforce change, requires significant enhancement for deeper impact. Now, third क्या है? The legacy of the Planning Commission still has a bearing on India's development policy. Discuss. तो अभी भी है क्या? देख सकते हैं, देखते हैं क्या है. The Planning Commission has played a critical role in shaping India's economic trajectory through development plans, resource utilization. However, Niti Aayog has replaced it. Its legacy, the legacy of the Planning Commission can be seen through the continuation of programs with midday meal scheme, ICDS, Manrega, etc. तो इसको भी खत्म कर दिया जा रहा है. The prime objective of establishing the Planning Commission was to propel a rapid increase in the living standard of the Indian by productive exploration of countries' resource and searching opportunities for employment, utilize skill. India and Make in India has a vision to provide required skill to get employment opportunity and improve standard of living. ठीक है, तो ये इसका रहा था. During PC, the state has played a greater role in sectors like agriculture, infrastructure investment because of the weakened economy. Big investment push required. In recent times, government schemes like Krishi Sinchai Yojana, PM Mudra Yojana signifies state has greater role in the time too. Providing social security like Atal Pension Yojana, Garib Kalyan Yojana, and PM Awas Yojana through the policies has its roots from socialist measures to planning commission. Planning Commission has a function of drafting a plan to address inequality in the state and give suggestion to the center. Likewise, Niti Aayog Aspirational District Program and SAT project through recently on the basis of health education tries to incorporate cooperative federalism. Niti Aayog has replaced the Planning Commission because of the need of the time, but core idea of policy planning states role in important sector investment purview of the Planning Commission. We are done. We will continue from 7A.